She screamed for help as one of them grabbed her arm. I ran out of the garage and froze for a second. Two men in fake HOA enforcement jackets were standing on my porch, yelling at my wife to open the gate. One of them shoved her, and before I could even think, he punched her shoulder so hard she fell against the railing. I sprinted toward them, heart pounding, every instinct from years of service kicking in. "Hey!" I shouted. "Back away from her!" The taller one turned and smirked. "This is HOA business, old man. Stay out of it before we fine you for obstruction." Fine me? For defending my wife? My blood boiled. I kept my distance, though, hands raised slightly. "You don't touch my wife. You don't touch anyone on my property." The shorter one stepped closer. "We warned her." She ignored the noise complaint. "Now we're enforcing community rules." I looked around. No HOA vehicles, no badges, no recording devices. Something was off. "Where's your authorization?" I asked calmly. "Your ID paperwork, anything?" The tall one sneered. "You don't need to see that." He reached for my gate latch again. That's when I noticed his badge was printed plastic, crooked, probably from a costume shop. I stepped between them and my wife, who was trembling but trying to record everything with her phone. "Ma'am, put that phone down!" one barked. He lunged toward her again. That was his mistake. I caught his wrist midair, twisted it just enough to make him drop his fake badge. "That's assault," I said quietly. "And you just tried it twice on federal property." "Federal? This is HOA property." He spat. I almost laughed. "Buddy, you're standing on private land, owned, paid for, registered under my name." His eyes flickered for a second, confused. Then he puffed his chest. "We'll call the police." "Do it," I said, pulling my phone out too. "But I'll make the call first." I dialed faster than he could blink. While it rang, I stared straight at him. "You ever impersonated an officer before?" He blinked. "What?" "Because that's what you just did." Before he could answer, the operator picked up. 911, what's your emergency? "Yes, this is Mark Evans. Two men claiming to be HOA enforcers just assaulted my wife and trespassed on my property." "I need real officers here now." The two men froze. The short one muttered, "We'll settle this later," and tried to back away. "Don't move," I said. "You're not going anywhere." That old command tone slipped out, firm, cold, and used to being obeyed. They hesitated just long enough for me to step in front of their car's license plate. My wife filmed everything. The police arrived faster than I expected. Maybe it was because of my name. Maybe because I'd called from a number still flagged in the system. The officer got out, recognized me, and said quietly, "Commander Evans." The two men's faces drained of color. I didn't smile. "They said they were HOA enforcement," I explained, handing over the fake badge. "Turns out they're not even residents here." The officer nodded. "We'll take it from here, sir." The tall one tried one last excuse. "We were just trying to make the neighborhood better." The officer cut him off. "By hitting a woman? You're both under arrest." As they were cuffed, my wife whispered, "Mark, how did you stay so calm?" I looked at her, then at the flashing lights bouncing off the porch. "Because I've seen worse," I said softly. "And because I knew they had no idea who they were dealing with." That night, as we replayed the footage, I couldn't stop thinking. How many other people had they scared before they picked the wrong house? Would you have fought back if someone like that showed up at your door, or called the cops and waited? The next morning I woke up to a pounding sound, not from the fake enforcers this time, but from my neighbor, Paul. He looked nervous, glancing over his shoulder before he even spoke. "Mark, you need to see this," he said, handing me his phone. On the screen was a post from our neighborhood group. "Veteran neighbor assaults HOA inspectors. Community in danger." The post had already racked up hundreds of comments. Someone had taken a blurry photo of me from last night, standing beside the police cruiser, and twisted the story completely. My wife's face went pale. "They're trying to make you the bad guy." I clenched my jaw. Not trying, they already did. Within hours, people started showing up at the end of my driveway. Some recording, some whispering, a few yelling things like, "You can't hide behind your uniform," and "We saw what you did." It was clear someone from the so-called HOA was behind it. But the twist? Our HOA wasn't even active anymore. It had dissolved 2 years ago after a major lawsuit. So who exactly were these people working for? That question stuck in my head until around noon when a white SUV rolled up the street. the same model the fake enforcers had used. It stopped right across from my mailbox. Out stepped a woman with a clipboard, sunglasses, and a voice that carried across the street. "Mr. Evans," she called out. "I'm from the HOA Executive Board. You attacked our field agents yesterday." I stepped closer, careful, watching her every move. "Your agents assaulted my wife," I said. She smirked. "We have footage that says otherwise." My wife held up her phone. "So do we." For the first time, the woman's confidence cracked. "Just for a second. I'll be reporting this to county authorities," she said, before turning sharply and walking back toward her SUV. But I noticed something. Her clipboard had an official county seal on it. Except it was printed crookedly, just like the fake badge from last night. I felt my pulse rise again. I'd seen this kind of operation before overseas. Fake uniforms, fake authority, intimidation tactics. It all pointed to one thing: organized fraud. Someone was pretending to be an HOA to scam homeowners, and they had enough nerve to use violence. That night, I went through my old gear. My military ID was still valid even if retired. So was my contact at the sheriff's office. I dialed his number. "Evans?" The voice on the other end sounded surprised. "You're still in that neighborhood?" "Yeah," I said. "And something's happening here. Fake HOA agents, forged documents, maybe worse." He sighed. "Funny thing, you're not the first call about that. Couple of other homeowners reported strange letters and fines. That confirmed it. This wasn't just about me. I glanced out the window and saw headlights stopping in front of my house again. Same SUV, same woman. Only this time she wasn't alone. 3 more people got out, all wearing those fake enforcer jackets. My wife whispered, "Mark." "They're back." I nodded slowly, my voice calm but low. "Not for long." I picked up my phone, but before calling anyone, I pressed record and walked outside. "You didn't learn the first time?" I said. The woman smiled. "You made a big mistake going against us, Mr. Evans." Maybe she thought I'd back down. Maybe she didn't notice the security cameras blinking red from the roof corners. Either way, she was about to find out what kind of mistake she had made. But here's what I want to ask you. If someone came to your home pretending to have power over you, would you stand your ground? Or let fear make the rules? The next day, the story took a darker turn. By morning, my mailbox was overflowing with fake HOA violation letters, each one printed with the same crooked seal and my address spelled wrong. My wife laid them out across the kitchen table, counting more than 20 of them. "They're trying to break us down, Mark," she said quietly. "They want us scared," but fear wasn't what I felt. It was focus. Controlled, deliberate focus, the kind that came from years of training. I'd faced men with rifles in deserts halfway across the world. I wasn't about to bow to people with clipboards and fake badges. I called my old contact, Sheriff Daniels, again. "Daniels, I have evidence now. Fake documents, forged seals, and threats." "They're escalating," he replied. "Stay put. I'm sending someone from the County Fraud Division." "Don't confront them this time." "Can't promise that," I muttered. At exactly 3 p.m. I heard a familiar engine outside. The white SUV again. But this time they parked right in my driveway. The same woman stepped out, her confidence thicker than ever. Behind her were 2 of the so-called enforcers. One of them the same man who hit my wife. "You were warned, Mr. Evans," she said, holding up a folded paper. "You're being fined $10,000 for assaulting HOA officers." I stepped down from the porch. "You still pretending to be HOA? That act's getting old." She smiled like she knew something I didn't. "Oh, we're more than HOA now. We're part of a private enforcement agency partnered with local authorities." That lie was smooth. Too smooth. I reached for the paper. "Mind if I take a look?" She hesitated, then handed it over, maybe thinking I'd be intimidated by the legal jargon. But what she didn't know was that I'd spent years decoding far worse documents. The letterhead, wrong font. The agency number, non-existent. I looked up. "You forged this." Her smile faltered. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. You forged county paperwork. That's a felony." She tried to step back, but by then, my wife had already started recording again. "Say that again," my wife said, voice shaking but determined. "Tell the camera what you just said." The woman's face twisted. "Turn that off!" she yelled, motioning to her men. One of them stepped forward, but before he could take another step, a black, unmarked SUV rolled up behind them. Sheriff Daniels got out, badge gleaming. "Nobody moves," he said. The fake enforcers froze. Daniels approached me first. "You were right," he said quietly. "We ran those ID numbers. They don't exist." "They've been hitting neighborhoods across 3 counties, the woman stammered. "You can't arrest us. He cut her off. "You're impersonating law enforcement, extorting homeowners, and assaulting civilians. You're done." Seeing her face collapse under the weight of those words was almost surreal. The 2 men tried to run, but deputies came out of the second car, blocking them in. As they were cuffed, the woman looked straight at me. "You don't understand who you're dealing with," she hissed. I stepped closer, meeting her eyes. "You don't either." The deputies took them away, and for a moment the street was silent. No cameras, no onlookers, no whispers. Just peace. But something in Daniel's voice made me pause. "This operation goes higher, Mark," he said. "Those people weren't working alone. Someone's funding them." I frowned. "You mean there's more?" He nodded. "Much more." That night, as my wife and I sat on the porch, she asked, "Do you think it's over?" I looked at the flashing blue lights disappearing down the road. "No," I said. "They were just the front line, and deep down, I could feel it. The real storm hadn't even started yet. So tell me this. If you discovered your peaceful neighborhood was being controlled by fake authorities, would you dig for the truth? Or walk away before it got dangerous?" The next morning, I woke before sunrise, old habits. The air was heavy, quiet, but something didn't feel right. Out of instinct, I checked the security feed on my phone. One of the cameras showed a figure walking near my truck. I zoomed in. Someone was trying to plant something underneath it. I slipped on my jacket and stepped outside without making a sound. "Don't move," I said, voice sharp and low. The man froze, half hidden by the shadows. He turned slowly, not one of the fake enforcers from before, but someone new, dressed in a maintenance vest, face half covered. "Who sent you?" I asked. He hesitated. Then he ran. I chased him down the driveway, my feet barely making a sound on the cold pavement. He jumped into a car waiting down the street, the same white SUV, but this one had its plates covered. They sped off before I could catch a number. When I checked under my truck, I found it, a small black box taped near the rear wheel. It wasn't explosive, but it was a tracker. Someone was watching me, still. That confirmed what Daniels had warned me about. This wasn't over. The people pretending to be HOA enforcers were part of something deeper, a scam network posing as local authorities to extort veterans, seniors, and isolated homeowners. They'd targeted me because they thought I'd stay quiet. They picked the wrong man. By noon, I was sitting across from Daniels in his office. He had a map spread out, dozens of red pins marking neighborhoods across the county. "They've been running this operation for months," he said. "Fake fines, fake violations, threats. You were the first one to push back hard enough for us to notice." I leaned over the table. "Then let's finish it," he smiled faintly. "I thought you'd say that." Later that evening, a sting operation was set up. I agreed to help, not as a cop, but as bait. We placed decoy paperwork in my mailbox, pretending I was preparing to sell the property. Within hours, the same woman's voice came through an unknown number. "Thought you could call the cops on us and walk away?" She said coldly. "You made this personal, Evans." I stayed calm. "It was never personal. Until you hit my wife." A pause. Then she hung up. But that call was enough for Daniels' team to trace her. At sunset, I watched from my porch as unmarked cars rolled silently through the neighborhood. Within minutes, the white SUV appeared one last time. The woman and 2 men stepped out, holding more fake citations, their last attempt at control. But this time, the second they crossed the property line, spotlights hit them. Officers surrounded them from every side. The look on her face and disbelief, panic, realization, said everything. Daniels approached her. "You're under arrest for fraud, impersonation, and assault," he said. She glared at me. "You think this changes anything?" I looked at her calm but cold. "No, it ends everything." As the squad cars drove off, my wife came out and stood beside me. The neighborhood lights flickered on, and for the first time in weeks, the street was quiet, peaceful. She leaned her head on my shoulder. "So, what now?" I exhaled slowly. "Now we move forward, and maybe help others do the same." The sheriff's report later confirmed what I suspected. They'd scammed nearly 30 families. Veterans, single parents, retirees, all threatened into paying fines for rules that never existed. But not anymore. I looked around at the calm street, the American flag waving gently on the porch. I thought about what I'd told the woman, that it wasn't personal, but maybe it always was. Because this land, this home, my family, I fought to protect all of it once, and I'd do it again. Before heading inside, I glanced at the security camera, its red light blinking steadily. They wanted control, I said softly. They forgot some of us already learned how to fight for freedom. Now I'll ask you, if someone tried to take your home, your peace, or your family's safety with lies and fear, would you fight back? Or stay silent and hope justice found you first?